Hey guys, it's Sandro here, and welcome to part 3 and the final chapter of the detail on this stunning 1967 Pontiac Firebird. In part 1, I took you guys through the wash, decontamination and pre-correction steps. In part 2, I tackled the time-consuming 2-stage paint correction process, and now in part 3, I'm going to walk you through the paint protection steps in enhancing and sealing all the hard work that's gone into this car for years to come. So I'm starting here by using compressed air to blow off any looser dust and then doing a final IPA wipe down in preparation for the coatings. It's actually difficult when working on soft car paint like this to make the call to keep on touching it and doing these final IPA panel wipes, because without that slicker and harder coating on the paint, it's just hard to completely avoid any light marring or wiping swells 100%. But after applying so many ceramic coatings in my time, I've come to understand just how important it is to have the paint completely free of any polishing oils or any airborne contamination to create the best possible bond with the coating. But this also means that it's going to be a little tacky and more susceptible to wiping swirls during this final IPA stage, as that's what completely bare and clean car paint should feel like. And in my experience, the softer the paint or clear coat is, the tackier it feels when it's truly clean and bare, which makes this first pre-coating wipe down stage such a delicate and stressful process that you really want to do thoroughly, but also with a light, delicate touch.
We can take it very slow.
Very slow.
We'll be counting the stars that dot the dark of a night sky.
A night sky.
Sipping red wine on the show. The time is right, don't you feel the time is right? Tonight, tonight, tonight.
Tonight the time is
Tonight, tonight, tonight.
Tonight.
Tonight, tonight, tonight. Tonight, oh, tonight. I just called to say hello.
hello.
Such a wonderful night. We're walking the park by moonlight.
Moonlight.
And I just wanna say, you know, the time is right. Don't you feel that the time is right? Tonight, tonight, tonight.
I know the time is right.
Tonight.
Don't you feel the time is right? Tonight.
Now the first thing I'm going to coat on this car is the soft top, so I also gave it a good IPA wipe down. But I also wanted to point out that there is a few patches and spots on the canvas that are actually wear marks that appear a little lighter in colour. Now I'm not completely sure how they occurred, but if I was to guess, I'd say that it could be bird poo that was potentially scrubbed off a little aggressively and ate into the fabric. But in any case, these aren't dirt or contamination sitting on the material. They're worn out marks or scuffs in the fabric that obviously can't be cleaned off. Now the soft top coating I'll be using is CarPro fabric, which although it performs and looks great in my experience, can be quite a messy coating that you really want to avoid getting on the car paint, as it is quite sticky and hard to remove. So I used masking plastic around the roof to protect the rest of the vehicle while I coated the convertible top. I'd also hugely recommend working in a well ventilated area and wearing a good filtration mask when applying it, as it is quite a strong and serious coating. As far as technique goes, I broke the roof into about 3 sections, liberally sprayed it into a section at a time, and then used my gloves to evenly spread it and work it into each section for a good couple of minutes. Once I had it worked in all over the whole roof, I then went back and started to look for and work in areas that needed a bit more wiping to get them looking nice and even. Now in truth, I just had to put the camera down during the application and concentrate on the job at hand, as there was quite a few areas that required a bit more product and time to get a good consistent application and finish. And as CarPro fabric will start to dry and get sticky after a while as it begins to cure, you really have to work within that time frame to get the application right. But once I was happy that the roof had a nice consistent application of the coating, I used my infrared lights to hit every side of the roof in order to speed up the curing process, as until CarPro fabric cures to a certain stage, it is quite sticky, and I wanted to make sure that it was nicely cured by the time the owner picked it up the next day. Now you can certainly layer CarPro fabric as well, usually after 2 to 3 hours or when it starts to look a little drier and feel a little less tacky. But due to time and cost restraints, I really had to stick to just one layer on this top, which really should still last a while on a garaged weekend driver such as this. We'll have a good look at the roof later on once it's fully dry in the finished shots, but I was actually really impressed with the finish that became so much blacker and richer, and I can also tell you that the owner absolutely loved the way the roof came out.
It's been a long time since I danced all night, moving through the lights. It's been a long time, wanna take you out, we can make it right. Don't wanna be alone anywhere, need a new love and I think that it's fair. I'm still looking for someone I can share all the things that's really goes inside me. Take me, baby, I just wanna see something new. Take me, baby, girl, you know I'm going after you. Girl, you know I'm going after you.
As I mentioned in parts 1 and 2, the paint was my real focus on this job, which really ate up all my time getting it to this stage and quality finish. But I still wanted to give the wheels a quick seal and dressing while the fabric top was still drying. So I just used a little Nova Jet to enhance and protect them in the short term and dress up the tyres with NV Onyx to get them looking nice and in line with the rest of the vehicle.
It's been a long time. If I come my way, can I make you stay? 'Cause all of my life, never been in love, but I'm dreaming of. Don't wanna be alone anywhere. Need a new love and I think that it's fair. I'm still looking for someone I can share all the things that's really goes inside me. Take me, baby, I just wanna see something new. Take me, baby, girl, you know I'm going after you. Take me,
So onto ceramic coating the paint. For this I used a single layer of Nova Pro, which on a garaged weekend driver is more than enough to protect the paint for many, many years to come in my experience. I started out by doing a test section on about a third of the boot to work out what my optimal flash and wipe off time would be. I firstly dabbed the coating into my section to distribute it evenly, and then I did a total of 3 vertical and horizontal overlapping lines in that section. I should also mention that, as many of you may know, I usually do this coating stage in my other purpose-built coating room, but I actually set up the lights here bouncing off the walls to create that nice soft diffuse light in my correction bay that really helps to see streaks and high spots while applying a coating. The reason I didn't use the coating room for this car is that it was really smoking me out of the shop every time I ran the engine, and also leaving quite a bit of oil and exhaust splatter marks behind. A while back, I made the mistake of driving an old, leaking 4x4 diesel into my coating room, and apart from almost passing out from all the fumes, it made a horrible mess that took me a whole day to clean up. So I'm just a bit weary now as I try to keep that room clean, as it's also where I do a lot of other filming. Now this job was actually done earlier this year towards the end of summer here in Australia, So it was a little warmer, just under 30 degrees Celsius or so, with a bit of humidity in the air. So the coating was actually flashing relatively quickly, within about 2 to 3 minutes at most. As you can hopefully see, the blue and purple streak marks are really a good sign to look out for in most nano-based coatings, as an indication that the coating has effectively bonded to the paint and is ready to have its excess coating leveled down. Always using 2 low-pile microfiber cloths, your first cloth should really be used just to gather up the majority of the excess coating within that section and not push the coating out of that area, which increases the likelihood of creating high spots. Your second cloth, however, should be used to wipe the coating beyond your section and blend it nicely and evenly into the rest of that panel to avoid any sharp coating lines in the finish. As I also mention all the time, the way the coating feels during your wipe off should be the second way after the way it looks to determine if your wipe off time is correct. If the coating just smears too much, it means you haven't waited long enough. And if the coating is very grippy and hard to wipe, it means you've waited too long. So a nice, easy leveling experience is also confirmation that your timing is on point. Always use good and appropriate lighting to check for high spots as you go, as your time to address them is just a short window of time to rectify any issues or blemishes in the finish before the coating starts to cure and harden. Equally important is to make sure you overlap every new coating section with the previous one by at least a good inch or 2. That way you make sure there's no missed areas and you have a nice even finish throughout the entire vehicle. I do have to say that overall I wasn't having too many issues with the coating application on this Firebird. I really wasn't seeing any new wiping swells, which was great. And the paint actually didn't feel overly sticky or sensitive like some other soft paints I've coated in the past. I did a video on a black Camaro ZR1 a while back, and that paint was just so overly soft, sticky, and incredibly sensitive to the point that I just couldn't avoid wiping swells in the final coating stage. It was just such a horrible and difficult experience trying to coat it. So although this paint was still quite soft, it was nothing like that paint, and actually pretty reasonable as far as softer paints go, which was a nice relief on my part. I've said it many times that paint sensitivity aside, it's generally not that difficult to correctly apply a ceramic coating. It just takes a bit of practice and a slow, methodical approach to do it right or to a high-end level. But no matter how many ceramic coatings I've applied, which has got to be a lot over the last 10 years, there's no two ways about it that it's a very time-consuming process no matter how long you've been doing it. The hard part for me, I guess, is just keeping up that important level of motivation and concentration to always stay on track of where I've been, where I'm going to next, where I'm at with my cloth rotations, stopping and properly checking for high spots, and making sure to have that lighter touch, especially on these softer paints. I know it may seem pretty basic, but you also have to take into account that this coating stage always comes at the end of quite a long and both mentally and physically challenging decontamination and correction process, so by that stage I'm generally quite tired and a little worn out. So it takes even more so concentration and just sheer diligence to stay focused and crisp on this final stretch of the detailing process. We're all human, guys, and after a long week in the wash bay and on the machines, it simply takes its toll. But you have to try and fight that fatigue, as if you drop the ball in this final finishing coating stage, it just makes all that hard work go to waste if you botch up the final protection stage. As you will hopefully see in the footage, although I didn't get time to polish the metal trims, I did also coat them with Nova Pro. In my experience, all coatings I've used just don't tend to last quite as long on metal trims as they do on paint, which may have something to do with their higher susceptibility to oxidation and UV light, But hopefully on a weekend driver, the coating will still hang around on those metal trims a little longer. And while I'm coating the rest of the paint, it really just takes a little more time to coat those trims, so it's worth doing it in my opinion. So leaving filming out of the equation, this was really a 50-hour detailing job from start to finish, with about 4 hours in the first decontamination stage, 40 hours in the correction stage, and a good 6 hours coating the soft top paint and trims. As I mentioned, it would have been nice to have a little more time to address the metal trims, wheels, engine bay, and even the door jambs to a higher level. But I was still quite happy and proud with what I was able to do, and I know the owner was extremely pleased and barely believed that this was the same car he dropped off the week before. If you enjoyed this video and would like to say thanks and help support future content, you can do so by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/ccad, and I'll have a link to it in the description box. And thank you everyone for the support so far, it's greatly helpful and appreciated. As always, I really hope you guys enjoyed and found this video useful. Please share this video, like, comment, and subscribe to this channel to show support for this content, and I'll see you guys soon.
Jesus God, that's not my car. Well, look how nice it looks here with the lights. Look at that. What a photo this is. Wow. Even the roof, it's looking great. And I'm going to drive it now. I'm okay. What's happening? Oh, yeah, you got the injection up the bump. She's good as gold.
Think that we're crazy. They just haven't seen love this plainly. When they ask what on earth is going on, just tune your record in and play this song. 'Cause to me our love is like an old-fashioned finest whiskey poured out in our glasses. You are something sweet, sip you slow then repeat. You're the habit I thought I could be, but old-fashioned love's got a hold of me. Baby, I don't care, I don't think I'd even mind. Between holding your hand, what I'm feeling in the bottles of wine. 'Cause you just might be something that could stick. Well, at least I put my money down on it. 'Cause to me our love is like an old-fashioned finest whiskey poured out in our glasses. You are something sweet, sip you slow then repeat. You're the habit I thought I could be, but old-fashioned love's got a hold of me. Old-fashioned love's got a hold of me. We've been around enough to know that what this world